Hello and welcome to another week of 50 Weeks of Marketing. So what is an influencer? An influencer is basically a social media personality who's got a large or really defined following on social media. And the idea is a brand can leverage the following that this social media personality or whatever has, and by leveraging this following means that their brand is put in front of these people's followers through a paid endorsement. Could be a recommendation or a product review, product placements. I follow a lot of fitness and things like that on Instagram, so it's not uncommon to see somebody in some gym pose or something with a protein bucket of protein powder conveniently placed behind them, or something, eating a protein snack. Kim Kardashian and the Jenners, Kylie Jenner, Kendall Jenner, very popular influencer celebrities. They'll be posting mainly content in that makeup, fashion sort of niche. So it's all about using a person with an influence over a certain group of people, credibility, which a brand can leverage if they've got a same target market to increase the credibility of the brand. So it could be a new product that's being released, a new brand that's being released from a company, or a brand new company, depending on what their budget is. It depends on who they'll be able to afford. Obviously, a brand new company isn't going to be able to pay Kim Kardashian $250,000 or $1 million a post or whatever it is that she demands. There's different rumours or whatever out there saying the amounts that these influencers demand per post, but for people like that, it's a ridiculous amount. And they try and do it in a way that it's not obviously advertising. I mean, most of us kind of know what it is. There's certain rules around it now that it has to be, a little badge comes up as paid content, so we know for sure that it is, sponsored content. But brands are using and leveraging the pre-existing audience and following credibility that this influencer has. They're leveraging that to make their brand seem more credible. People aspire to be like an influencer, successful, well-known, glamorous, smart, whatever that niche of that influencer is, people aspire to that. So if they see this person using a particular brand or product, they're going to think, oh, maybe if I use this brand or product, I can be more like this person. So that's the whole idea behind this influence thing. This person's influence and credibility, ability to persuade their audience. Brands try and utilize this to increase the credibility of their brand or products. The really important thing here is that the target markets of both the influencer and the brand align. If I'm a company promoting sportswear for men, for example, it could be a particular brand of Nike running shoe or men's street brand, something like that. If we used Kim Kardashian as an influencer to promote our men's fashion label or whatever, it's probably not going to quite work with her, with her audience, and credibility is going to be reduced because you're going to kind of think, why is Kim Kardashian suddenly promoting this menswear line? She's obviously not going to be wearing it. You're going to feel a bit suspect. So this is a trap that businesses who use these mega celebrity influencers, which we'll get into the different types of influencers, that's the trap that people can fall into. Oh, this person's got 1 million, 10 million, 50 million followers on Instagram. They've got a huge audience. So some of their audience are going to be interested in our product. But then the credibility is reduced. It really has to match. So Kim Kardashian promoting fashion or makeup, and her sister Kendall, Kylie Jenner, I think it's Kylie, not Kendall, has surpassed a billion, like $1 billion in worth. And it's all through the fame that she inherited through her, Kardashians was a TV series before she became famous. So she leveraged that for her own ability to make money. And she's been really smart about it. She's created makeup lines and all these things which align quite well with who her family are, who she is, and her niche. So there's that credibility there. And all these young teenagers aspiring to be glamorous like her, they're going to be influenced into purchasing the makeup and fashion which she promotes through her content. Similarly to this, the Cristiano Ronaldo, the Portuguese football star, he's been playing football a long time, 15 years, 20 years, something like that, a long time. He is the most followed person on Instagram. He's got something like 240 million followers. And it's not unusual for sports stars to have a huge following. LeBron James, Lionel Messi, another football player, a few Indian cricketers who have quite a huge following on social media. People are interested. They aspire to be these people. They're their idols. So they're interested in what they're doing. So they follow them on social media. So they're really going to pay attention to product endorsements. So back to my point, if Cristiano Ronaldo, he's promoting a new footwear, football boots brand through a social media page, that's going to seem credible. It might be a supplement brand, again falls into that sports. He's a sports star using supplements, makes sense. That's going to be easily believable. But if he starts promoting makeup like the Kardashians, Kendall and Kylie Jenner, that's not, he probably does wear makeup because he is quite a pretty man, but it's not going to be credible to his follower base. So it's really important that those two align. If they do, this becomes authentic. If something seems authentic, it's more easily believed and we're more likely to consume. If it's inauthentic and obviously fake, Instagram can seem quite fake, and all these influencers posing and in these circumstances which don't seem like real life. 4 general groups of influencers. The first one, celebrity. So we've just talked about celebrity quite a bit. Certain brands are starting to move away from using celebrity influencers. Not all, but some. Obviously, if you've got 100 million followers, there's always going to be a brand out there who wants to use you. And it's going to be the more generic, mainstream brands who don't have a really targeted niche market of customers. But for smaller brands who may have quite a niche market, they're moving away from that celebrity endorsement because it just can seem quite fake. As I mentioned, these celebrities endorsing a product, there's pretty much no chance of them coming across as really inauthentic. It's going to damage credibility, firstly, of that influencer, but also the credibility of the brand. It's just going to seem too fake, too much like advertising. And that's the whole reason why influencing works. It's because it doesn't seem like advertising if it's done well. And this is where nano, micro, and macro influencers come in. So nano influencers might have less than 10,000, which doesn't sound like a lot. Micro might have 10 to 50, 100,000. I mean, there's no absolute definition of what it is. Nano is the smallest, micro is the next smallest, and then the macro influencer falls between the celebrity and the micro. So they're kind of in the mid-range. They might have 100,000 to 1 million. Not quite a celebrity, but quite a large following. Often macro influencers are famous through the internet, or they could be a TV personality. It might be a blogger through, he's got a popular blog. It might be a vlogger, which is a video blog through YouTube, so they document their life, stuff through YouTube, and they've built up this fame that they've become an influencer. But The important point here is nano and micro influencers are becoming more and more popular. Because brands can get a lot more value out of them. There might be, you could use 5 or 10 micro influencers instead of one celebrity influencer, because a celebrity, if they're charging 100,000 plus per post, you might be able to pay nano or micro influencers as little as 500 per piece of content. So you get a lot more value, and you can have more of them, and also they come across as a lot more authentic. Generally, they've built their reputation as being, knowledgeable and passionate and influential about one particular topic. So if the brand aligns with that topic, and they've got a really engaged community because they've built up this small following through a Facebook group or on LinkedIn or on Instagram, all these little mini niche communities, which are really important these days because this is where your most profitable customers come from. So if you can get in, penetrate these communities with your brand, and it comes from the most influential person in that community, it's going to do a lot better than this random celebrity that everybody knows. Oh, they don't know anything about this, they're just getting paid to do it, so we don't care. The next one, which I just mentioned, content creators and bloggers. So these bloggers, I'm a content creator. I've built a little bit of a following over the last few years on LinkedIn. I could be considered an influencer because of this, but I've never thought of myself as influencing people. To me, it just seems a bit weird and fake. I create content which I'm interested in and I want to talk about. But these types of influencers are able to sway people because, they're passionate and knowledgeable about a certain area. Mine used to be real estate, now moved into marketing, trying to create a following around my contents, which helps people and businesses to understand marketing better. So if some sort of company, maybe an SEO company with some new tool to help with SEO, or some website that helps you design brands or content calendars or something like that, if they were to come along and say, hey, we'll give you $5,000, $10,000 to create content around our new blah, 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 then that would make me an influencer. It's believable and credible because I'm always creating content about this field. So it doesn't seem, too many people wouldn't be like, oh, he's suddenly promoting this brand. They just think, oh yeah, this new thing he come out which he thinks is good, he's knowledgeable, so we might check it out. And that's the whole idea of using a blogger or a content creator. We don't have that huge million people following. Generally it's going to be that nano micro influencer type person. Typically a content creator or a blogger in particular, they might write on their blog about a certain topic. It might be travel. Each week they blog about travel, somewhere they went to, whatever, blog about sport, blog about fitness, blog about fashion. But we're going to use YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, maybe TikTok these days if that aligns. But we're going to use these other platforms to share our blog content. So we're going to have somewhat of a following. Some bloggers have built large followings on social media through promoting their blog to make money, So harnessing that as a brand can be quite useful. And finally, the last one is industry experts and thought leaders. I'd like to consider myself a thought leader, but we're not talking about small little nobodies like me, like Jacinda Ardern, government of New Zealand. Typically these people have got a really high profile job in a high profile company. CEO of Air New Zealand, these big companies, Amazon, Tesla, obviously everybody knows who the boss of Tesla is pretty much. So these people are the thought leaders. They have credibility because of the position they're in and the company that they're in. So people want to listen to them. If they're CEO of this big huge company, they must be really smart and good at what they do. I should listen to them. So this is where that influence comes in. They're really good at being an influencer for the company they work for. Probably a better example is journalists. Journalists would be considered a thought leader. They have an audience and credibility because they work for a well-known media company, so they must know what they're talking about, right? So maybe a journalist for a local newspaper, if they were to write an article about your business, that could be considered influencer. And that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed all the content about influencers. It may work for your business, but yeah, the most important thing to take away is it has to have a relevance to the target audiences. Those target audiences must be the same in order for it to work. So see you next week. Cheers.